my queen, my queen. Oh, she, oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel, so strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama. Yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen, she's a queen. You better treat her like a queen. Oh, oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, 'cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall, a champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. And where would we be without you? Yeah, you brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, and Jesus too. Oh, she is sophisticated, strong, yeah, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful. Not only that you are educated, yes you are, eccentric, empowering. You're mine, she's a queen. You're mine, you're my. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. R.C. is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Hello. This is R.C. Blakes again, and I'm always thrilled to be able to share with you whenever I get the chance. I'm always honored that that you show up and you tune in for, whatever Lisa and I are talking about. Not that Lisa gets in front of the camera enough. I want you all to really harass her this year about getting in front of the camera. But we started a special edition of Let's Talk with R.C. Blakes centered around my book, Me, My, Mine. It's my, this is a biblical perspective on recognizing and surviving narcissistic abuse. It's my tradition and habit, and some say, well, it's defeating the purpose. But usually when I write a book, I talk about I talk about what's in the book, and some say, well, you shouldn't do that because people won't buy the book. Of course, I want to sell books, but for me, the message is, the message transcends the profit. And what I've discovered is the more I talk about it, it seems as though the more people actually buy the book. So I'm continuing with my own tradition, my own habit of talking about what's in my book. And today we're looking at just an overview of chapter 3 of Me, My, Mine. We've already looked at chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1, what is a narcissist? And chapter 2, the breeding of a narcissist. Where do narcissists come from? Now, I admit in the book that the perspectives in this book are that of a novice, a neophyte. I'm no expert. I'm no authority on this subject. I'm not a mental health professional. I'm a preacher. I'm a man, and I'm a student of life. And as I learn, I try my best to teach or to share what I've learned. And so that is the pure and sincere, innocent approach that I take with this book, always respecting the fact that my perspectives are not that of an expert or a professional, but they are sincere. And as I studied this subject some years ago, I just found it, unbelievable how intricately tied the narcissistic, what I call the narcissistic spirit, is to the Bible and to biblical characters. Usually in those of us that are in the Christian faith, we almost deify our biblical heroes to the point that we forget that they were normal human beings with all of the flaws, the idiosyncrasies, and the issues that you and I possess. When we read of the biblical characters, we almost want to view them as perfect, and they were everything but. And the Bible is not, it's no nebulous fact that they were not perfect. It's very clear that these were imperfect human beings. And so what I've discovered is that we see the narcissistic spirit running throughout the lives, the behavior, the mindsets, the character of many of our biblical heroes. Now, in chapter 3 here today, we're talking about the 3 types. Is that good right there? Okay. There we go. The 3 types of narcissists. Because when you get into this study, you'll find that it is a study that comes along with a myriad of opinions, opinions even between professionals. They tend to differ. But some experts have created extensive lists of different narcissistic traits that subsequently define narcissistic personality disorder. And they are as follows: grand sense of self-importance. Number 2, fantasies about success, beauty, power, and brilliance. Number 3, belief that they are special. And these are persons that believe that they should only associate with other special people. Number 4, the need for excessive admiration. Number 5, entitlement. Number 6, exploitative behavior. Number 7, lack of empathy. And number 8, envy of others and the belief that others are envious of them. So now, according to the experts, an individual would have to collectively possess a certain number of these traits to be considered a certifiable narcissist of some kind. But when you stop and you look at these things that I just listed, we as individuals, we as human beings, the scientific term Homo sapiens, we all at certain points reflect one or more, sometimes all at different points, many of these characteristics. The difference between you and I, who are well-adjusted individuals versus a narcissist, is that a narcissist will find his or her behavior along these lines normal. Whereas you and I, if we haven't, this over obsessive desire to elevate ourselves or to celebrate ourselves or to love ourselves, we typically catch that and we say, okay, wait a minute, something's wrong here. And we repent and we change our ways. Not so with narcissists. But now in my observations, I have found it helpful to divide narcissists into 3 main categories. Those being grandiose, covert, and malignant. Now, I know that we have some out there who are much more astute, educated, versed in these matters. Please just allow me my opportunity to share my admittedly unprofessional, neophyte position or perspective. This is in no way any scientific perspective that I am sharing. It is the perspective of a student that has learned a little bit, and I'm just trying my best to share it. So I've discovered for me, it's best to lump them into 3 main categories, and that being the grandiose narcissist, the covert narcissist, and then the malignant narcissist. Now let's break these 3 down, if you don't mind. The grandiose narcissist has a very high need for admiration, for recognition, for celebration. I just recently went to a very official religious ceremony celebrating the appointment of one of my spiritual sons to the official pastorate of an amazing historical church in the city of New Orleans. And this is the kind of occasion where people who occupy positions like mine, bishops and what have you, would normally put on all of the garments that you see the bishops wear. Most of you have never seen me in any of that. But this is where you wear all of those official garments. If not wearing those robes and all of those official garments, you at least put on the clergy collar and the certain color shirt and the chain with the cross draped across the chest, dropped in the left pocket over the heart, symbolizing, the church being close to the heart of the bishop. And I went there with a simple black suit, a white shirt, and a black tie. I tried my best I actually got there late so that I could sit in the back. I didn't even want to be a part of the processional. I just wanted to be there to support. I wanted to sit in the back with my wife, enjoy the ceremony, bring my gifts, bring our gifts to our son and to our spiritual daughter, hug their necks, and go back to my house. Well, they wouldn't let me do that. They insisted that I would come up to the front, that I would occupy a seat on the platform. And of course, I complied and obeyed because I do know how to follow authority. But I would have preferred sitting in the back. But that is not usually the case with leaders in the church, if you notice. If you go to your particular local church, especially if you are a part of one of the more traditional Black congregations where we have the stages with all of the seats on the stage and all of that kind of thing, you'll notice preachers almost getting there early to get their seat. It's because I believe personally, and I'm just saying this because I come out of the church culture. I was born in the church culture. I am church culture. You know, I would like to think that I'm what's at least good, if not what's best about church culture. But I come out of it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in the church, we find a lot of grandiose narcissists who are always jockeying to be admired, to be recognized, to be celebrated, to be seen. The grandiose narcissist is an exhibitionist. And in the book, I liken the grandiose narcissist to that of like a little child, a little, let's say 6, 7-year-old kid that's learning how to tap dance or dance with the taps, you know, you know, that kind of thing. You go to the house and the little kid, 6, 7 years old, just learning to tap dance, and you know, he or she has an audience of 3 or 4 adults, and they come in and they want to tap dance because they want everybody to see them, because they want everybody to be proud of the progress they've made and the expertise that they are developing. And they will dance and they will get in your face and they will make all kinds of noise until you pay attention. Well, that's the nature of children, correct? Children want adults, especially the adults they respect and feel safe with, to recognize what they're doing and to acknowledge it. Well, that same childlike spirit translates to the grandiose narcissist, who does all sorts of things to be seen, to be recognized, and they'll go to lengths where they should be embarrassed, but they're not embarrassed. They're that addicted to being recognized, being center stage, being admired. Sometimes they're being laughed at and they view it as being admired. They want to draw attention to themselves from their audience, even if their antics is disturbing the natural order of the room that they're in. They'll disturb a wedding to be seen. They'll disturb a staff meeting to be seen. They'll disturb a church service to be seen. They'll disturb a family gathering to be seen, because the grandiose narcissist is like the little kid tap dancing, waiting for everybody to look at me, look at me, look at me. I remember an occasion when I had a member in our church. And man, she would just do all sorts of things to just intentionally draw attention to herself. Some of these things, you know, a person as old should be ashamed of, but she seemed to never be ashamed. She just enjoyed the attention that she attracted to herself. She would do things literally, and this would happen say all of the time. This would happen quite frequently. She would do things like waiting until a quiet point in a sermon or a lesson. And it's at that point that she would begin to unwrap, you know, the old traditional peppermint. You know how noisy that paper is? She would begin to unwrap that paper at a quiet point so that the whole congregation would turn to look at her. And she thought it was funny. Or she would get up and walk at a time when it was appropriate to sit down. Interesting. And so, I'm sitting and I'm contemplating, how am I going to deal with this individual? Because this individual is, a disturbance and a distraction to the flow of order in our church. And so I mentioned the dilemma to one of the leaders who was always present to witness this behavior. And the leader said to me, well, Pastor, she does that because she feels entitled because of who she's related to. She doesn't feel like you will correct her because of who she's related to. And it was like a light bulb went off. You know what I'm saying? And of course, at that point, I said, okay, enough is enough. And I corrected that. But she, in my opinion, in my humble, unprofessional opinion, was a narcissist. Yeah, I think she was. Now, grandiose narcissists love positions of power and prestige, like I just mentioned to you about even the church. But the Bible is filled with characters who would have been certifiable narcissists. I believe this is why most of our politicians can't get anything done, especially in the United States of America. It's because I think positions of power like politics, especially on every level, actually, from city to state to federal, these positions are usually sought out by narcissists who only have an agenda to attain power to serve self. And so we keep sending these people there and nothing really gets better. Have you noticed that? Nothing really gets better. It's because they only want the position for the attention it brings, for the power it gives them to exercise self-grandizement. But again, the Bible is filled with characters who would have been certifiable narcissists. I believe that certain biblical character really falls under the umbrella of grandiose narcissist, and his name is King Nebuchadnezzar. And when you read his story in Daniel chapter 4, verses 28 through 32, well, it reads like this. All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar at the end of 12 months. He walked in the place of the kingdom of Babylon, palace of Babylon. The king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Now, Nebuchadnezzar was, again, I believe, a grandiose narcissist. He could not recognize the sovereignty of the Most High because he had the compulsion, the narcissistic compulsion, to put himself at center stage and to claim the spotlight or to take credit for everything. And this displeased God. Few things we learn from Nebuchadnezzar. The first thing we see is that narcissists offend God. Even the Most High God has an intolerance or a low tolerance for narcissists. The second thing we learn from Nebuchadnezzar is that there's always a severe price to be paid for living one's life in dishonor of God and disregard for one's fellow man. In the case of Nebuchadnezzar, he wandered the field. His nails grew like animals' claws. His hair grew out and matted to the point it looked like feathers. He was like a wild man for a certain amount of time until God broke him. Because narcissists will eventually have to answer for their actions. Questions always asked, well, what about the narcissist that is doing this to me? I just read a letter, from a dear heart who has, according to her, and if what she's describing in her correspondences with me probably is so, she has a narcissist for a father. And she's like, well, how does he get to go on with his life and he leaves me in dealing with all of this damage? And I'm like, well, you can't really do anything about him, but you can do everything about your own life. You have to understand this: narcissists will eventually have to answer for their actions, either in this life or in the world to come, in eternity. If you look in Proverbs 16, 18, and 19, it says, pride goes before destruction and an haughty spirit before a fall. Verse 19 says, better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than divide the spoil with the proud. God always has a judgment for the proud. The grandiose narcissist loves money because it allows him or her to reinforce their superior delusion. They can access an abundance of things if they have money, and things reinforces their delusion of supremacy. They tend to judge success in themselves and even in others based on material possessions. Now, number two is the covert narcissist. Now, this is another character. You've heard in the movies or on television shows the phrase covert operation. A covert operation speaks of a secret operation that flies beneath the radar. Anything that is covert is secretive or not obvious. And there is such a thing as a covert narcissist. This is one you would not expect. This is a narcissist that slips into your sphere, and it's like, you don't realize that this is a narcissist because their antics are covert. Now, let me read. A licensed therapist named John Smith states covert narcissists appear to be very nice and helpful. They may even come off as shy and withdrawn. Smith continues, shyness is their honey trap. They appear to be the people that want to help others and are too shy to mingle. The person with low self-esteem is usually drawn into their trap. They don't possess an over-the-top, grandiose, outspoken opinion about how great they are like the exhibitionists, but beneath the surface, in the back of their mind, they feel superior. They are covert. Now, the covert narcissist specializes in manipulating your personal feelings and emotions. They specialize in manipulating your emotions. The Bible describes a particular person who seems to generally fit this description, and it's found in Matthew 7:15, where it says, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. They are what? Covert operatives. Now, the covert narcissist is probably the most difficult to recognize. Secrecy is the covert narcissist's weapon. They function in secrecy. I think, again, we can see, the childlike nature, the mischievous childlike nature of a narcissist, even in the covert narcissist, because if you were to liken them to children, little kids, from the point they can even speak a little bit, immediately seem to know how to play mother against father or one adult against another. And they'll have adults, at one another's throats while they're sitting there with the lollipop looking back and forth, because they know how to psychologically manipulate one when the other's not giving them what they want, or manipulate the other when the one is not giving them what they want. But their MO is secrecy, the covert narcissist. Now, the covert narcissist creates anxiety. Their victim will experience nervousness and won't always know the source of the stress. They are masters at turning the spotlight in every direction and onto every other person but themselves. Covert narcissists master the language of the victim. If only they would have, and they won't let me be great, and if I had your hand, they master the language of the victim. The covert narcissist makes everyone want to help him or her while they aim to use those who help. Now let me look at number 3 and then I'm done for today. Just giving you an overview. The malignant narcissist. The malignant narcissist is otherwise known as a toxic narcissist. This individual seeks to dominate others. Not that the others are not toxic, but the behavior of this particular narcissist is clearly toxic because they seek to dominate. They are very aggressive and frequently violent. Some of the characteristics of the malignant narcissist are they're quick to become aggressive and even violent. Number 2, they dehumanize their victims. Number 3, they destroy families and organizations with no thought about it. Number 4, they're generally antisocial. Number 5, they are sadistic. Number 6, they are paranoid, just to name a few. Of course, you get the point. So these are what? Dangerous people. The malignant narcissist is believed to be, and I agree, the most dangerous. The most famous malignant narcissist in the Bible, other than Lucifer, is Jezebel. If you look in 1 Kings 18:4, it says, "For it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water." Why was he hiding the prophets of God by 50? It's because Jezebel was killing them. So he had to hide them for their protection. Jezebel was malignant. Jezebel was so malignant, she dominated her husband, King Ahab. He was the king, but she was the boss. And the Bible says in 1 Kings 19:1, and Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. All of her false prophets were defeated by the prophet Elijah. Now, what's interesting is that Ahab is reporting to Jezebel, even though he is the king. She took authority over him. She dominated him because that's what malignant narcissists do. They dominate everybody in their circle. Jezebel terrorized with her words. You know, she sent word to Elijah, the same thing I did to those other, what you did to my prophets, I'm going to do to you by this time tomorrow. And Elijah got so terrified, he started running for his life and became even suicidal because it was documented of what Jezebel would actually do. She wasn't only making threats, she was able to, or at least she believed she was able to follow through on those threats. So Elijah started running for his life because the words of a malignant narcissist will terrorize. And the only solution when dealing with a malignant narcissist is to separate yourself safely and wisely. We will deal with strategies to escape narcissists in the chapters to come. But there you have an overview of chapter 3, Me, My, Mine. Go to Amazon right now and pick up a copy of this. You should be able to get this and the ebook version at this time, if not also the audio version. But you can go to Amazon right now and pick this up. Now listen, it's always a joy to have been with you. Don't forget to go by my website, rcblakes.com. Sign up for our mailing list. Make certain that you check out all of my online programs while you're there and while they're there. If you don't have my other books, Queenology, Father-Daughter Talk, Kingology, Wisdom for Women in Ministry, Soul Ties, so forth and so on. While you're there checking out this book, look at my other books as well on Amazon. Thank you to all of you that support Lisa and I. It means the world to us. If you need counseling of any kind, go to BetterHelp Counseling and hit the link, or go to my description, hit the link for BetterHelp Counseling. If it works for you, they'll give you 10% off of the cost of their counseling, and they in turn will make a deposit into RC Blake's ministry for my referring them to you. Thank you again. Now, until next time, we'll go into chapter 4. Remember, you're on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. So we will see you at the top. God bless you. Until then.
We here at RC Blake's Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. RC and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by RC Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by RC. You may find all books written by RC and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at RC Blake's Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.